What if your heart has been trying to warn you all along, quietly, secretly, with signs you've brushed off as nothing? You wake up more tired than you went to bed, not just once, but for weeks now. And that morning fatigue isn't just age. It could be your heart whispering that it's overworked, deprived of oxygen, and begging you to notice before it shouts with a heart attack. You sit down to rest and notice your ankles are swollen, not just from walking, but even after a quiet day. And that puffiness could be fluid backing up from a weakening heart, yet you dismiss it as salt or shoes. Then there's that creeping shortness of breath, not when you climb stairs, but just walking across a room or talking on the phone. And you start pausing mid-sentence, not because your lungs are tired, but because your heart can't keep up with the demands of daily life anymore. You might even notice your heartbeat feels off, irregular, fluttering, skipping, and you assume it's stress, caffeine, or just part of getting older. But behind that arrhythmia could be atrial fibrillation, a quiet killer that increases your stroke risk fivefold without ever announcing itself loudly. Or maybe it's the weight, an unexplained gain or loss. And it doesn't matter how much or how little you eat. Your clothes no longer fit the same because your body's retaining fluid or burning muscle to compensate for a heart that's losing its battle. Then comes the cough, that dry, nagging tickle that lingers at night. Not a cold, not allergies, but something darker, like fluid creeping into your lungs because your heart is no longer pumping with enough strength to keep your system clear. And that tightness in your chest that doesn't feel like pain, just a pressure or fullness, especially after a meal or during a nap, easily written off as indigestion. But if your heart is struggling to circulate blood, that discomfort could be your most urgent clue. Watch your skin. Has it turned dusky, pale, or tinged with blue around your lips or fingertips? That discoloration may not be poor circulation from cold weather. It might be the very blood meant to nourish you failing to reach its destination. And if you're suddenly more forgetful, not in the normal way, but losing your train of thought mid-sentence, blanking on conversations, missing appointments, it may not be your memory, it may be your brain asking for more oxygen than your heart can supply, inching you closer to cognitive decline. Even something as subtle as needing to. Sleep propped up on multiple pillows could mean your heart is no longer able to handle lying flat without choking on its own backlog of fluid. These signs rarely scream, they whisper, and only those who listen survive. Because after 65, your heart doesn't throw tantrums. It flickers, slows, retreats. It asks quietly for help before it gives out completely. Most people wait for the pain, the dramatic clutching of the chest they've seen on television. But your real danger lies in the ordinary moments you ignore. You've noticed changes in your energy, your sleep, your breath, your mood. You've told yourself it's just age. It's not. It's a pattern. It's your body tapping you on the shoulder in the only language it knows. No one tells you that heart failure can begin with mild fatigue or a mild cough. No one tells you that your body will do everything it can to adapt before it crashes. You will make excuses, adapt routines, nap more, cancel plans, and convince yourself you're just slowing down gracefully, all while your heart is fading quietly in the background. If you wake up gasping for air, if you can't lie flat anymore, if your shoes feel tighter, if your wedding ring suddenly sticks, these aren't quirks. They're signals. And even depression after 65 may not be purely emotional. It could be your heart reducing blood flow to your brain, quietly dimming your light from the inside. You owe it to yourself to recognize the difference between getting older and getting sicker. Because your heart won't beg, it will slow. It will silently reduce circulation to your muscles, your brain, your kidneys. You'll feel colder. You'll move slower. You'll stop dreaming as vividly. The world will feel duller. And by the time you realize it, you may have missed your best chance to intervene. The tragedy is not the heart attack. It's the silence before it. The clues were there. The short walks that left you winded. The nights you couldn't breathe unless upright. The bruises that took too long to fade. The lightheadedness after standing up. The way you stopped singing in the car because it made you too tired. The subtle fear of climbing stairs. The voice inside that whispers, "This isn't right," when you bend to tie your shoes. If you recognize even one of these signs, you must act, not later, not after another month of hoping it will pass, but now. Get checked. Insist on a full cardiac workup. Don't let politeness, fear, or false reassurance keep you from uncovering what your heart hum.